snow buried their boots, but not their spirit. December 1944, Bastogne, Belgium. German soldiers advancing through the Ardennes expected a broken enemy, starving, low on ammo, cut off from supplies. But when they peered through the forests of ice-coated trees, they didn't find panic. They found paratroopers from the 101st Airborne Division, men who refused to retreat. Men who stared back with eyes that looked less like soldiers and more like cornered wolves. The German radio operators reported something strange. No cries for mercy, no anxiety, no negotiations. They weren't acting like trapped men. They were acting like hunters waiting inside their own cage. This is where the fear began. German intelligence knew these weren't ordinary infantry. These were men who jumped from the sky behind German lines, trained to fight surrounded, trained to win without support. Paratroopers who carried only what they could hold, yet fought like they owned the battlefield. The German officers whispered the nickname the Americans wore as a badge of honor, the Screaming Eagles. They had faced the 101st in Normandy. They saw them destroy fortified positions at Corentin. They watched them keep fighting when other units would fall back. And now at Bastogne, they weren't just defending, they were daring the Germans to try their luck again. Even without winter gear, even without heavy artillery, they dug into frozen ground and turned snowdrifts into fortresses. German tank crews later said they were haunted by one-sound American paratroopers, laughing in foxholes during artillery bombardments. Who laughs when surrounded by an army of tanks? Keep watching, because what happened next explains exactly why the Germans stopped advancing when they learned who was holding Bastogne, and why they asked for a surrender before the Americans ever did. At dawn, when the cold sliced through bones like glass, the 101st Airborne stood. No reinforcements had come, no airdrops. Just grit. The Germans, better armed and shielded by steel, sent wave after wave toward Bastogne. But each wave met a same wall of fire and defiance. American foxholes, dug deep into frozen soil, erupted with fury. And the men inside didn't move an inch. The Germans couldn't understand it. Why didn't they fall back? Why didn't they break? And that confusion turned into fear. Because when an enemy chooses to hold ground that's already lost, it means they're willing to die just to make you bleed. Word spread fast across German lines. The Screaming Eagles are at Bastogne. It changed orders. It froze momentum. They had expected a retreat. What they found was a brotherhood that refused to blink, even when surrounded, even when wounded, even when the sky betrayed them with clouds that blocked air support. Inside Bastogne, American medics worked with torn bandages and empty morphine tubes. Soldiers shared rations, gave up boots for the injured, and whispered stories to keep spirits alive. This wasn't war. This was a vow in the snow. We hold the line. And then, in a move that still echoes through history, the Germans demanded surrender. Brigadier General McAuliffe didn't write a long response. He wrote one word: nuts. That word echoed louder than artillery. It told the Germans everything they feared was true. These men wouldn't give up. They couldn't be broken. That's why the 101st Airborne wasn't just feared. They were legendary.